Good evening and welcome to the October 8th, 2012 Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting. In accordance with the state Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on October 3rd, 2012 to the Hillsborough Beacon and Courier News. May I have a roll call, please, Mr. Mahmoud?
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Here.
Okay, Ms. Santafonte?
Here.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas?
Here.
Mrs. Haley?
Here.
Mrs. Lay?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Here.
Ms. Soisson? And Mr. Kinst?
Here. Let us rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have correspondence that is noted in the agenda, and I'll hand it over to Dr. Schiff with the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my pleasure to welcome all of our friends from the Hillsborough Middle School who are here tonight. Tonight is part of our continuing effort to spotlight the great things that are going on throughout the district. We are spotlighting the students at Hillsborough Middle School. The peer leadership program will be highlighted, including the PRIDE, which stands for Peers Respecting Individual Differences Every Day. The REBEL, which stands for Reaching Everyone by Exposing Lies, and the SLC, the Student Leadership Corps. And here to introduce our students is the principal of Hillsborough Middle School, Dr. Joe Trabolski.
Thank you, Dr. Schiff. It's a pleasure to be here this evening, and we've brought a group of students with me. Some of the finest at Hillsborough Middle School are with us this evening, at least a few of the representatives from these three groups. What I'd like to do is just outline for you a little bit about what our peer leadership program is and then introduce the students. And I'm also joined this evening by Mrs. Mailer. Mrs. Mailer is our student assistance counselor at the middle school and is primarily responsible for coordinating and putting in place these three peer leadership groups that not only work at the middle school, but frankly around the district. Our peer leadership program, the students that you're about to see in a few moments, were all recommended to this program by their peers and by their teachers, some from Alton Road when they were in 6th grade before coming to the middle school, and some in 7th grade. They facilitate peer-to-peer education within our school, but then they also go out to Alton Road School and to the elementary schools to deliver their programs to the students. So they're peer leaders for the whole district. And they've each made a commitment for 2 years to this program. So once they get in, we don't let them out, and hopefully as they move up to the high school, they'll continue these leadership activities at the high school. So the first group I want to introduce to you is our Student Leadership Corps. The Student Leadership Corps was established in 1998 as part of New Jersey's peer-to-peer network, modeled after the Princeton Center for Leadership Training. It focuses on substance abuse prevention and education. And two of the advisors, Amy Casagrande and Toby Casagrande, one guidance counselor, social studies teacher, and then of course working with Ms. Mailer, coordinate this program. So at this time, if I could ask the members of SLC who are present here this evening, if you guys will kindly join me up here at the podium. Guys, come on right over here. Make sure you get on camera.
Okay, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about what the SLC kids do. They are here to educate their 7th grade peers about the dangers of alcohol and other drugs. They go into the health classes every marking period. We play a fun game of Jeopardy in which the 7th graders learn a lot of facts and also some risk factors in terms of drug awareness. They also facilitate an alcohol awareness presentation to all the 6th graders in the district. We sponsor Red Ribbon Week activities, which is going to be happening at the end of this month. And they also facilitate an annual family night program, which is open to the whole community, and that occurs in the spring. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, SLC members. Stay up here, but just slide down for me just a little bit. Make room for our next group, which I'll call up in a moment. This is our REBEL. Our REBEL peer leaders was actually established in 1998 as a program called Tattoo, Teens Against Tobacco Use. And then we joined the statewide REBEL network in 2001. Their focus obviously is on anti-tobacco and preventing the use of tobacco, from the early ages. And the advisors to this program are Megan Pierfy, again, one of my counselors, in coordination with Mrs. Mailer. And so if I could have the members of both 8th grade and some of the 7th grade new inductees for Rebel, if you'll kindly join me up here by the podium.
And once again, let me talk about some of the highlights of our Rebel group. These students go to all the 4th graders. So every 4th grader in the district will get their program. Again, we do it in a game format that we've created. It's based on the game's categories, but we call it Smokagories. We're actually going to Triangle School in November, and then we do the rest of the schools in the spring. We also sponsor activities within the middle school. The Great American Smokeout is in November, and Kick Butts Day is in April. So they do some within the school, school-wide activities, displays in the cafeteria, essay contests, things of that nature. And we've also been providing a follow-up lesson to the Triangle School 4th graders in the spring, where they come back right before they're getting ready to go to 5th grade, and we talk more about peer pressure and refusal skills, not just related to tobacco, but really anything that someone might try to steer you in the wrong direction. And we wish we could offer that to all the schools, but Triangle's in our backyard, so it's just convenient they walk over, so that's why we only do Triangle in the spring. But they do a great job.
Each of these groups has about 25 or so members, so they cover a wide swath of the district, and we're glad that some could be here tonight. Some of our 7th graders just found out today that they're members of the group that they're in. The third group that I'd like to introduce is our Pride. This is peers respecting individual differences every day. And it was established in 2003 at the middle school, again, based on some of the teen leadership models, peer-to-peer education from Princeton. Their focus is on HIB. Preventing bullying incidences, harassment, intimidation in any form at the school. They create a positive climate in my school. We refer to upstanders, that at the middle school you don't want to be a bystander and watch these things happen. You want to be an upstander. You want to stand up for your peers and prevent this from happening in the first place. Again, one of the advisors, one of my guidance counselors, Mia Corella, along with Anna Mailer. And if I could have our Pride students that are here this evening, those that are with us, come on up, 7th graders new, and our 8th graders.
Are we gonna fit? All right, and just a few highlights of our Pride group. Again, as Dr. Jabolski said, these students are focusing on preventing harassment, intimidation, and bullying, which is HIB. So they facilitate lessons. We do something called a tolerance museum. We actually went to the Tolerance Museum at the College of New Jersey, and we created our own internal museum in which we turn our annex cafeteria into a museum that involves interactive activities, again, in the 7th grade health classes. So we don't go to the classrooms, the whole class comes to us. We also do within-school activities such as No Name Calling Week, which is in January, and we've done Mix It Up at Lunch Day in the spring. They also have done a great job at doing a whole school-wide assembly where they've read true stories of kids who have been bullied from the first person. They sort of speak on behalf of those who may not have a voice, and it's a very powerful assembly, and it's very amazing that they can get up in front of 300 of their peers and just embody the spirit of the kids who are being bullied and try to get them to understand the empathy that we need so that that doesn't continue. And if that wasn't enough, we've also branched out to the 2nd graders, and we go to all the 2nd graders in the district. We read the book by Dr. Seuss, The Sneetches, and we do a little activity with the 2nd graders. So the Pride kids, just as busy as the others, if not more, and again, they do a wonderful job.
So overall, I just wanted to highlight that they are meeting with nearly all of the 7th and 8th graders in each of their categories that they work with. That's over 1,100 students in my school alone. But as the SLC goes out to the 6th graders, they're impacting over 500 plus students here at the Aughton Road School. The Rebel students going out to meet with our 4th graders, so another 550 students per year. And then, of course, our Pride students, not only at the middle school, but meeting with all the 2nd graders. So they're having a tremendous impact all across the district. And their commitment to the work that they do shines every day. When you see them in the halls and the programs that they're running at the school, when I've been out to visit them with the elementary schools and watching them working one-on-one with the students or presenting in front of a whole class or large groups, they are amazing role models for all the kids in the district, and they're making a difference every day. While we thank them, I also want to thank the Hillsborough Board of Ed and also our Hillsborough Millstone Municipal Alliance and the Hillsborough District Life Skills Committee. All three of these organizations certainly are supporting of this group through funding and other ways. And of course, moms and dads that are here very proudly of the students before us, thank you for all you do in terms of raising these youngsters, but also helping them be a part of these programs. So thank you to you as well. Thank you, guys. Congratulations. I look forward to a great working year. You guys can come on.
Thank you, Dr. Travolsky and Mrs. Mailer. Wonderful job. Let's give another big round of applause to all of these kids. They're doing such a good job here in Hillsborough Township. I ask at this time for the board to act on a brief recess and allow the board to meet some of our students and have them get home. And I don't know if you have some homework to do, but I'm sure you have other things that you'll be doing other than staying at a board meeting. So with that, 5-minute break.
Let's take a 5-minute break.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, we're back from our brief recess. Dr. Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're also going to be starting something that will coincide with the Spotlight on Students called Spotlight on the Curriculum, that at least once a month we'll be highlighting one of our curriculum areas. This evening we will be spotlighting our math program, and Tracy Noor, our district math supervisor, is here tonight to share the good work that we do in this area. Ms. Noor.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Kinst, members of the board, Dr. Schiff, Dr. Antunes, colleagues, and members of the community for the opportunity to briefly share an overview of the Common Core State Standards in Mathematics. While this is our second year in the implementation of the Common Core Standards, such a major transition will actually take several years as materials are updated to reflect the true nature and intent of the standards. Developed as a result of a joint effort between the Council of Chief School State Officers and the National Governors Association, the Common Core State Standards have been adopted by 45 states and 3 territories. The standards are built on the principles that they are aligned to the requirements for college and career readiness. They are based on evidence and research, and they're honest about time. A noted educational researcher, Bob Marzano, has talked about the fact if schools in the United States were actually to teach all the cumulative progress indicators found in state standards, students would actually have to attend school for about 23 years. There are 3 major shifts in focus for the Common Core State Standards in Mathematics. With focus, the standards significantly narrow the scope of content and deepen how time and energy is spent on the mathematics content topics in the classroom. And with focus, students gain conceptual understanding, which builds a strong foundation for their future learning. Such a focus should eliminate the need to review the same skills at the beginning of each school year or course. Coherence is the idea that the content is connected within and across grade levels. So students build new understanding on the foundations they've built in previous years. It's important to foster the idea that each standard is not a new event, but an extension of the previous learnings. For example, the understanding of fractions, including decimals and percents, is critically important to students before they're capable of achievement in algebra. The idea of rigor is the fact that we want students to achieve conceptual understanding as well as procedural skill so that the learning will lead to fluency and application of skills in problem-solving situations. Such rigor requires equal intensity of time, activities, and resources in the pursuit of conceptual understanding, fluency, and problem solving. Traditionally, in the United States, in our mathematics programs, we've taught all strands of mathematics across all grade levels. The intensity and duration has changed. For example, instruction in numbers and operations is far more prevalent in the early years with less emphasis in the middle school and the high school, and the complete opposite is true with the content of algebra and functions. Whereas the Common Core state standards, if we look at the number and operations across all of the years, it's going to create a coherent whole which will require less reviewing of previously taught skills. The standards for mathematical practice are how we teach and learn mathematics. The same 8 standards overarch all grades K-12. The conversations and work will look very different depending upon the grade level, but each of the standards is important at each grade level. The standards for mathematical practice need to be embedded in classroom instruction and activities. They describe the kind of mathematics teaching and learning to be fostered in the classroom. Here are the 8 standards for mathematical practice. Students need to be able to make sense of problems and persevere to solve them, reason abstractly and quantitatively, construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others, model with mathematics, use appropriate tools strategically, attend to precision, look for and make sense of structure, and look for and express regularity in repeated reasoning. Again, these will look very different whether we're talking about 5- and 6-year-olds in kindergarten and first grade or high school students, but all of these 8 standards are met in every grade level. The standards for mathematical content are the what we teach and learn in mathematics. The following slides will give a very brief overview of the content domains taught in kindergarten through grade 8 and the conceptual categories taught at the high school level. Sorry, that looked a whole lot bigger in my office. In the elementary grades, students learn to count and understand numbers well. This includes composing and decomposing numbers, understanding the base 10 structure of our number system, and making meaning of operations. All the work in fractions at this level falls under the domain of geometry. And by the end of 2nd grade, students should be fluent with number facts to 20, as well as adding and subtracting through 100. Beginning in grade 3, work with fractions moves from geometry to numbers and operations fractions. Students build on the place value and addition and subtraction from the earlier grades and make meaning of multiplication and division. Students should be fluent with their single fact multiplication and division facts by the end of 3rd grade, and by the end of 5th grade, students should be fluent in multi-digit multiplication. In grade 6, the domains begin to shift towards preparing students for algebra whenever they take it. By the end of 6th grade, students should be fluent with multi-digit division, multi-digit decimal operations, including fractions. And during the middle years, students work with integers, proportional relationships, and statistics and probability. They use concrete examples that they are modeling to write expressions and solve equations. During these years, the idea of volume and surface area and of a variety of 3-dimensional shapes is also developed. The high school standards specify the mathematics that all students should study in order to be college and career ready. The Common Core state standards also include additional mathematics that students should know if they're going to take advanced classes such as calculus, discrete math, and advanced statistics. In the actual standards documents, these standards are indicated with a plus sign. The conceptual categories represent a coherent view of high school mathematics. Standards from each conceptual category are woven through all the various high school courses. For example, the work a student does in functions crosses a number of traditional boundaries. While modeling has its own conceptual category, it's best interpreted not as a collection of isolated topics, but in relationship to the other standards. In the Common Core state standards, these standards that are also modeling standards are indicated with an asterisk. New Jersey is on the governing board with PARC, which is one of the consortiums that's developing tests to assess college and career readiness. While this is certainly subject to change at any time, the state does that, These new assessments are currently scheduled to become operational during the 2014-2015 school year. The links shown up there give you places where you can go to find additional information about the Common Core state standards or the standards as they apply to the park assessments. They're beginning to put up model assessment questions in mathematics at this time. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Snore. We appreciate all the work that you do. I do have one last piece of good news to share with the board and the community. Hillsborough High School students Iman Thacker and Joy Zhu are among approximately 16,000 semifinalists in the 58th Annual National Merit Scholarship Program. They have an opportunity to continue in the competition for approximately 8,300 National Merit Scholarships worth more than $32 million. To become a finalist, the semifinalists and their high school must provide information about academic record, participation in school and community activities, demonstrated leadership activities, and honors and awards received. Congratulations to Iman and Joy. And that's my report this evening.
For the committee reports, they haven't happened yet, or one just happened, but we need time to distill that. So the committee reports will be at the next board meeting on the 22nd. I'd like to open the floor up to the public for public input on random drug testing. Okay. We have someone from the public. If you can please state your name and address, please.
Yes, Lisa Gullah, 416 Bigley Road. Here representing myself in a couple of different fashions. One is as a representative of the Hillsborough Millstone Municipal Alliance. One is as a person who's been in substance abuse prevention for the last 20+ years. And finally, as a parent of a Hillsborough High School student as well as an Aughton Road student. My statement that I wanted to make is I feel that the random drug testing should be kept in place. I feel that it's a positive tool. It's not to be considered as the cure for our problem here, and I mean problem meaning substance abuse in general amongst our youth. I think it's a very effective tool as a parent, as a professional, to have it there as just one more layer to work on the prevention and intervention with some of our students. I feel that one of the very interesting pieces is no matter how many we've done over the course of the years, the percentage has remained the same. And I think that's actually showing that part of the program is working. A lot of the studies and data show that the earlier you can reach somebody in their addiction, the more likely it is that they can get better. And one of the most important ways that for most people, especially in adults, they'll say, with adults, it's not necessarily home, it's not necessarily losing their family. What it is when they're found at risk of losing their jobs, which is why employee assistance programs are in effect. The same can be said about students. A lot of times it's not what their parents say, unfortunately, it's not what's going on outside the school, but the risk of losing their standings in the school population, whether it be because of sports, whether it be because of how people see them, gives them that opportunity to hopefully become willing to get into some type of intervention program. Is it the be-all, end-all? Absolutely not. Is it going to help us as parents, as professionals? Absolutely. It's just one small piece of the puzzle. Are there going to be some kids who test positive and test positive again and again? They are, and those are the ones that we have to keep trying to keep helping, because sometimes you don't get better the first time around either. So, like I said, on behalf of the Municipal Alliance, myself as a professional, and as a parent, I would strongly encourage you to keep the policy in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other public comment, we'll move on to the comments from the public, or I'm sorry, to new business. Oh, yep, thank you. Okay, I'm jumping out of order. So we're going to move to approval of the minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the September 24th, 2012 executive session.
So moved.
And a second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I abstain.
Abstain.
I abstain and
Abstain for the minutes?
the minutes. And okay, motion passes. Okay, now I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the September 24th, 2012 regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
No, I'm voting for it.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to new business. Any new business from board members? From the board? Okay.
Judy and I had the chance, because I'm the rep for our school board from the County School Board Association, so we went to that meeting and I wanted to report back to our board. They had two, and Judy, please chime in if I'm missing anything. So they had two topics. One was how we're changing the way that we calculate the number of students that graduate. And what's interesting is that New Jersey was one of the last states to convert to a more accurate portrayal of the number of students that graduate from our school district. Previously, we calculated using just the senior year, the senior class. And now, along with the other states, we calculate it based on all of the classes in high school. And what that does is it's actually it's a fair representation of how many students drop out, let's say in 9th, 10th, 11th grade. And it gives us a better chance to be more accountable to those students. So I think it was very informative to learn that. And then the second major topic was teacher evaluation. And I don't want to report out anything premature because the HR committee just got the presentation from the administration regarding our evaluation. What we learned was what many schools are doing, so it'd be interesting as a board member to compare and help our district to evaluate the different teacher evaluation programs that are out there. And they also wanted to ask board members they invited us to their breakfast at the workshop at the end of this month. So the School Board Association is inviting board members to go to the last morning of the workshop, and it's from 8:30 to 9:30. So you could stop by and take a look at this information. But what I found this just wonderful is that when you looked at the schedule for the workshop, and this is for school board members, it's so rich with things that we're already doing in our school district. So we're on like the leading edge of what our state school districts want to do. For example, the iPad implementation, all the technology, and what we can do is learn from what some of the other leading school districts are doing and make sure that we can avoid any potential mistakes, learn from benchmarking. And on the first day alone, there are 11 energy-related workshops. So I thought, well, how can we maximize this for our school district? Because maybe we should figure out a schedule or at least coordinate so that we can be present at some of these and make sure that this information gets back to our school district, because it's very exciting, very interesting work. And for example, there's one on a very relevant topic for our particular town. There's one on security in our schools, protecting our greatest asset. And I marked this up, so if I can pass it around and see if we can like sign up. But I think it'd be really beneficial to our school district. And they also invited any other of our members to come to their county meeting, but I'm happy to represent us.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Lay. Mrs. Haas.
Yeah, and to that end, these county meetings are very good for training purposes. So as Tweanne mentioned, this time they're talking about tenure and graduation rates and teacher evaluations, stuff like that. And you get a good taste of the things that are going on in the state. You get legislative updates, you get information from NJSBA, and in keeping with the in keeping with their wish to engage more board members, we sort of offered to have the next meeting here in Hillsborough. So the next meeting will be March 12th. You don't have to be the board representative. And FYI, we need a room. But it'll be here, and it's a lot more convenient than schlepping to North Plainfield as we did. So that was sort of our incentive for offering Hillsborough for the next meeting. So if you calendar it now, I think it's a Tuesday night, you'll be available.
Excellent. Thank you, Mrs. Haas.
I had suggested that we highlight we can showcase Hillsborough. That way we were happy to invite them.
Very good, very good. Any other new business from the board? Oh, Mrs. Lay.
Yes, I have to put this on. Okay, and this coming Saturday is the Marching Band Festival for our school district. It's a wonderful event, and I just wanted to tell you that I met someone who lives in the neighborhoods nearby, and they get courtesy tickets, and they're actually making it into like an annual event for them, because we do that because we feel sorry that they hear marching band music like from 2 in the afternoon all the way up till 10 at night, but they actually look forward to it. And there's a motto, once a band parent, always a band parent. So even though my kids are in college, I'm selling 50-50, so please come out and support.
Okay, if we can make that a tradition for even more people, that'd be great. Okay. I'd like to open up the floor for new business from the public. Oh. Yes, ma'am. If you can state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Dowd. I live at 24 Field Hedge Drive. So if I'm inappropriately bringing this in at this time, that's okay to stop me. I have been to other board meetings, but not in Hillsborough. So I'm not totally familiar with the format. But this just happened to be a really fortuitous day for me to come because they reviewed the math curriculum, and today I had a meeting at Sunnymead with my son's first grade math teacher and the enrichment curriculum supervisor there to talk about everyday math curriculum. So what we kind of found out is that the teacher's really great, the principal's really great. The curriculum, though, I have some questions about. And I'm curious about how you think, how this decision was made that everyday math would be implemented in all schools to teach all kids in at least the elementary schools math, and why you think that's most effective, and what is the intention, and what are the results that you hope to achieve with that program?
Yeah, that's about a 2.5-hour discussion, actually. So what I suggest that you do is that you contact Dr. Antunes, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, set up a meeting with her, and she'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Thank you.
Any other public, new business from the public? Any comment from the public with regard to the action agenda? Okay, so we'll go into the action agenda.
Thank you. I ask for the board's consideration of the following motions under the area of education: to approve the travel and related expenses, to approve the field trip destinations as listed, as well as overnight field trips, to approve the WAP screening for ELL students, to approve the staff members for attending the one-to-one parent orientation nights as listed, to approve the HIB investigation list, and that's all I have in that area.
Okay.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry, motion first.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items A1 through A6 of the education agenda.
I'm not supposed to do that?
We're going to separate out all the, yeah, we're going to separate out all the travels. For whom?
May I make this suggestion, just in terms of clarity? If we move, if we move A1 and you just mention that you abstain from your own, we'll mark it in the record.
Okay, thank you.
Works. Yeah. Perfect.
All right. All right.
Wanna take
Let
that
me,
one separate?
let me,
Move A2.
well, this happens every year when we have the annual meeting. So we're going to do A1, 1 through A1, 4 individually, and I'll just state which board member that it's in reference to. So we'll entertain a motion to approve item A11, which is to approve professional travel-related expenses for Ms. Bogachevsky.
Is that how we do it?
Yeah, we're going to do it that way.
Okay.
So do I have,
I know this is very embarrassing, but we can't log on to our computers, so can I just clarify if I think I'm 1.1, Mr. Mahmood?
no.
She,
I have, okay, I have item
Okay.
1.1 is Mrs. Bogachevsky, 1.2 is Mrs. Haas, 1.3 is you, Mrs. Haley, and 1.4 is Mr. Pulsifer. Okay? There you go. Gentlemen through and through. Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item A 1.1. So moved. Okay, Mr. Pulsifer, and do I have a second?
Second.
Dina.
I'm not going, so I'm voting yes to everything. So let me move it past it.
Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Sure. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Abstain.
Ms. Santafante?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas? Yes. Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
And Mr. Kint?
Yes. Okay, motion passes.
Yep.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item A 1.2.
Yes.
Okay, so moved by Mrs.
Second.
Bogachevsky, seconded by Mr. Gillette. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Santafante?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas? Okay. Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
And Mr. Kint?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, motion passes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item A 1.3.
So moved.
And second? Second. Okay, so, Mrs. Santafante, second. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafante?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Abstain.
Okay. Ms. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Mr. Kint?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, motion passes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item A 1.4.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Okay, roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Sure. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafante?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer? Abstain. Okay. And Mr. Kint?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passes. Okay. Now the real business. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items A2 through A6.
Oh. Tweet has to do it?
Mrs. Lay, would you like to have the honors?
Sure. On behalf
Second.
of,
Did she do it?
Not yet.
Oh.
Jump the gun.
it's okay. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
So
No,
on
you still-
behalf of the
just-
Education Committee,
thank
I
you.
motion that we approve this, A1 through
I'll second.
A to A6.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay.
Seconded.
All right, any discussion for items A2 through A6? Okay, seeing none. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Shirley, Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Mr. Kintz?
Yes.
Motion
Motion passes.
Mr. President, I recommend that the board consider the following motions under the area of human resources: to approve resignations, revised leaves, revised long-term substitutes, revised extra period coverage, revised summer work hours, rescinding of the 2 contracts as listed, approving contract changes, approving transfer and change in assignments, approving appointments, including long-term substitutes, instructional assistant, intramural advisor, co-curriculum advisor, mentors, substitutes, approve in-service day payments to those as listed, and group changes.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items B1 through B11 of the action agenda.
On behalf of the Human Resources Committee, I recommend that the board approve items B1 through B11 as listed in the agenda.
Okay, do I have a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Mr. Kintz?
Yes. Motion passes.
Motion passes.
I ask for the board's consideration for the following 2 motions under the area of operations: to approve the line item transfers and approve awarding of transportation routes.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items C1 through C2.
On behalf of the Operations Committee, I recommend that the full board approves the full amount of items. I move that to happen now.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Pulsifer. Any discussion for the 2 items? Okay, roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mrs. Lay?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
And Mr. Kintz?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay.
And finally, under informational, the September enrollments, as well as fire drills and crisis drills for the month of September, and suspensions are available for the board's review. And that's all we have.
Thank you. Now we typically move on to any old business with the board. Is there any old business? No. Okay.
Well, is it possible for us to explain to the public what the next step is for the random drug testing?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the next steps for the random drug testing, thank you, Mrs. Lay, for bringing that up, is the next board meeting is the 22nd. Later this week, the Education Committee is meeting, and they will be reviewing the policy once again, reviewing the data that came from the survey, and then after deliberation, they'll make a recommendation as to how the policy should be either maintained, amended, or rescinded, and that'll be the recommendation to the full board. At the full board, we'll have public comment, public input section again, and then we will act according to the recommendation for the Education Committee. Okay?
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
I just have a question. I have a question, Mr. Kintz. So to remove the policy just requires a simple vote at our next board meeting. To change the policy or to, in effect, eliminate that policy and institute another one is going to require a first reading, a second reading, et cetera. Do I have that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So it possibly could be going on beyond our next meeting.
It could.
Possibly. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mrs. Haley.
Can I just get a request to get the latest data as well for all board members that was from the
Absolutely.
taken from the survey?
The survey results will be
Okay.
shared with the full board.
Thank you.
And that'll also most likely be part of the report out from the Education Committee in addition to that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other old business? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. And a second.
Second. Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions. Motion passes. We are adjourned.
It's my anniversary, so